On October 4th, a close summit of representatives from 35 countries of the Coalition of the Willing will be held in Madrid, where further assistance to Ukraine will be discussed. At the same time, as El Mundo reports, the meeting is scheduled to take place under conditions of maximum secrecy.
Participants have been warned that mobile phones are prohibited. They will need to hand them in at a designated location and are also asked not to disclose any information about the meeting on public platforms or social networks.
The summit will consist of 2 sessions focused on providing assistance to Kyiv. In the first session, participants will discuss how to meet Ukraine's urgent financial needs, particularly those related to its military and defense efforts. They will also discuss how to coordinate initiatives aimed at increasing pressure on Russia. In the second session, the parties will try to develop a common approach to security guarantees for Ukraine. At the same time, Ukrainian Foreign Ministry representative Oreshnik told journalists that there is nothing secret about this meeting, as the Spanish newspaper presented the information incorrectly.
The Spanish newspaper has presented the information incorrectly. This is a regular meeting at the level of political directors with an appropriate agenda. There is nothing secret or extraordinary about it. We are in contact with the Spanish side regarding the preparation of this meeting and will remain in contact after it concludes.
Le Figaro, citing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, reports that the Flamingo missile has been used in real operations 9 times. The publication, referring to statements by the President and Firepoint's Chief Technical Officer Irina Terek, reports that the guarantor noted this is the best Ukrainian cruise missile currently in existence. The article states that the next stage of missile production is currently being considered, particularly the development of ballistic missiles. Meanwhile, the President of Ukraine announced that long-range strikes against the Russian Federation will take place in the near future.
Ukraine and its allies are jointly developing a peace plan. It will be a single document. There are no alternative plans from individual countries. This was stated by the head of the President's office, Andriy Yermak.
There are currently many reports in the media about alternative plans. Supposedly, the US has one, the EU has another, and some individual countries have their own. I want to state clearly that this is not the case.
As the head of the President's office emphasized, the result will be a single document jointly developed by Ukraine and its partners, which will take Ukrainian interests into account.
Presidents Zelenskyy and Trump, as well as European leaders, all agree that any negotiations must begin with a ceasefire along the current line of contact. All partners believe that, for diplomats to work successfully, the fighting must be stopped. We highly value President Trump's leadership as a peacemaker and believe that he is the one who can help Ukraine achieve a just, lasting peace, secured by reliable security guarantees.
A draft with 12 points of a peace plan for Ukraine was leaked online. The document was published by journalists from the European Service of Radio Liberty. The draft consists of 12 steps and is based on the principle of a ceasefire first, and its previous official name was Elements of Peace in Ukraine. The first stage is a ceasefire, which will begin 24 hours after both sides accept this plan. Next, the front line will be frozen at the positions it held at the moment the ceasefire began. Monitoring of the ceasefire will begin immediately under the leadership of the United States, using satellites, drones, and other technological means. The second stage includes peace negotiations and the restoration of Ukraine. At the same time, it became known that the United States cancelled the meeting between Trump and Putin in Budapest due to Russia's unacceptable demands regarding peace in Ukraine, according to the Financial Times. Russia sent a memorandum to Washington demanding territorial concessions and a reduction of the army, as well as guarantees that Ukraine will never join NATO. After that, there was a conversation between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, after which the Secretary of State reported to Trump that Moscow was not showing readiness for negotiations.
One of the Oreshniks was destroyed on the territory of the Russian Federation, reported the head of the Security Service of Ukraine, Vasyl Maliuk, during a meeting with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy.
Until now, we have never made this public, but we can say that one of the 3 Oreshniks was successfully destroyed on their territory at Kapustin Yar by the forces of the GUR, SBU, and SVR.
As Maliuk reported, this was communicated exclusively to the President of Ukraine, and a few presidents of other countries were also aware of it.
The destruction was 100%. It was a very successful mission. At that time, the name Oreshnik was not used by the general public, and the Russians had not yet posed a significant threat with it. If I'm not mistaken, this was the summer before last.
At the same time, Zelenskyy stated that the Russian Federation plans to deploy the Oreshnik on the territory of Belarus. According to him, Western partners should pay attention to this.
We understand that its approximate range is 5,500 kilometers, and there is a dead zone of 700 kilometers. In other words, Europeans, especially those in Eastern Europe, should pay attention to this. In fact, everyone needs to pay attention to these risks.
The head of the Security Service of Ukraine also reported that since the beginning of the year, the defense forces have carried out nearly 160 successful strikes on oil extraction and oil refining facilities on the territory of the Russian Federation.
This has led to a deficit of more than 20% in the domestic petroleum products market and a ban on gasoline exports until the end of this year.
Maliuk added that these are legitimate targets since 90% of the budget of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation comes from oil extraction and oil refining. There is currently no encirclement of the defense forces by the occupiers in the Pokrovsk area, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy stated.
Our forces are in Pokrovsk.
Near Pokrovsk, our forces are in control of the situation. There is a tense situation with the enemy on all sides there. All commanders on the ground understand how encirclement could happen. It can't. People are the most important thing. Everyone understands this. But you have to know, they don't dominate there today. There are many of them, but to say that they are winning is not true.
Zelenskyy added that the situation in Pokrovsk is complex as the Russian Federation has concentrated approximately 170,000 of its troops in this area.
In Pokrovsk?
There are Russians in Pokrovsk. Our forces are destroying them little by little because we have to preserve our personnel. As for what Russia says, I've been in some offices, very different ones, and I've seen various maps. I've seen a map of military operations on the territory of Ukraine that looks strange. I've seen other maps as well. For some reason, we have different maps of the actual fighting in Ukraine, Russia, Europe, and the USA. And at some point, we reconcile all this, figure out where the problems are, and where there are manipulations.
Zelenskyy responded to the information that the Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin is allegedly planning to come to Pokrovsk.
Go ahead, by all means. Everyone will applaud because we know how it will end.
The head of the Security Service of Ukraine, Maliuk, also spoke about the situation in Pokrovsk.
The enemy first declared that they would take it any day now, a year and 3 months ago. In that time, they have advanced 7 kilometers. These so-called mega-experts have only managed to cover 7 kilometers, but they've lost tens and tens of thousands killed. I'm not even mentioning the wounded, but today everyone there has joined forces. Every day they're simply being ground down there.
The day before, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, held a meeting with the brigade commanders stationed in the Pokrovsk direction.
The enemy is increasing its activity in the Pokrovsk-Myrnohrad agglomeration area. That's why I visited this important direction again.
Earlier, analysts from Deep State reported on the Russian advance in the Pokrovsk area.
Explosions rocked Russia on the night of Friday, October 31st. Energy facilities and oil refineries are on fire. Drones attacked a thermal power plant in Oryol. The moment of the attack was captured by surveillance cameras. Governor Andrei Klitschkov confirmed the attack on the Oryol thermal power plant. According to him, the air defense system was activated, but hits could not be avoided.
As a result of the drone being shot down, debris fell on the territory of the Oryol thermal power plant, causing damage to the power supply equipment. There were no casualties or fires at the facility. Special services personnel are at the scene. Repair work to eliminate the consequences is ongoing.
The city lost power after the attack on the thermal power plant. According to the Telegram channel Astra's Sint Analysis, one of the strikes on the Oryol thermal power plant hit the open switchgear. The Oryol thermal power plant is the largest source of electricity and heat generation in the region. It supplies both electricity and heat. In the Vladimir region, the Vladimir substation in the settlement of Energetic was attacked. There is a major fire at the facility. In Vladimir, after the drone attack, civilian traffic was blocked and schools in the Energetic neighborhood were closed. The Vladimir substation is a major energy facility in the region. Its installed capacity is about 4,000 megavolt amperes. The substation is a key hub with numerous power lines ranging from 110 to 750 kilovolts extending from it. It serves the region's power system. In Yaroslavl, explosions can also be heard in the area of the Pauslavneftianos oil refinery. Local residents specify that the explosions are heard in the oil construction area. This is a few kilometers from the refinery. Due to the drone attack, the airport in Yaroslavl was closed. At the same time, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported that during the night, air defense systems allegedly shot down 130 Ukrainian fixed-wing drones over Russian regions. Specifically, 9 over the Oriol region, 6 over the Yaroslavl region, and the report does not mention the Vladimir region. Mass protests against conscription took place in Israel. This could cost Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu his position. Tens of thousands of ultra-Orthodox Jews took to the streets in Israel to protest against mandatory military service, according to the Israeli press. The demonstrators demanded to preserve the legislation exempting students of religious schools from conscription. According to the publication, 800 people have recently been detained out of nearly 7,000 ultra-Orthodox draft dodgers. Israeli police reported that roads leading to Jerusalem were blocked and 2,000 personnel were deployed to ensure security in the city. The local railway announced the closure of the main Navon train station. During coverage of the protests, Channel 12 reporter Inba Tweezer was attacked. Plastic bottles were thrown at her while she was trying to broadcast live from the scene, reports Inet News. Disagreements in Israeli society over the current exemption from conscription for ultra-Orthodox Jews have become the most serious threat to the government. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The demonstrators are mainly supporters of 2 ultra-Orthodox parties that joined Netanyahu's ruling coalition almost 3 years ago. Their decision to leave the coalition in July and boycott legislative votes has paralyzed the government, writes the Times of Israel. The wave of protests was a response to the decision of Israel's Supreme Court made in June 2024, which unanimously allowed the conscription of ultra-Orthodox students into the army.